So we are Toni and Toni. Welcome, and the official welcome to our Eoh-lution space. Thank you for being with us, Toni. So you are in Finland. We are in Bilbao, in the Basque Country, in Spain. And we met by chance. And every time we meet very interesting people that are doing this co-creation in a region or in a setting, we want to invite you in our Eoh-lution space, because this is the way we have to learn, to exchange, and to maximize what you are doing and all the work that you are doing. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being with us, and feel very welcome, Toni.
Thank you, Toni. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for welcome. And so I'm very happy to be here. And like you said, for me, it's most important to learn all the time, learn from other people, learn from other organizations, because that's, for me, it's the best way to, improve as well. Try to find those solutions that we are always looking for when we're working for the people, for the citizens. My name is Toni Ekroos. I live and work in Finland, in the city of Turku. I work as a innovation manager or development manager for the municipality of Turku. And I've been working for the municipality for 20 years or so in different roles, mainly with young people, with youth services and with cultural services. But at the moment, I have responsibility of overseeing development projects and development programs for all municipality or the organizational municipality. Of course, we are many people doing that, but I'm one of them. And that's like a path that led me to open innovation and social innovation teams, because the challenges or the issues we're facing are very complex. They're very systemic. So we need more people, we need more stakeholders, we need more actors to try to find those solutions. I'm also doing PhD for University of Vaasa, which is a different city, but still in Finland. And my study topic or PhD topic is related to public sector innovation. So I'm fortunate to be combining academic side and with practical side. And
you have different hats, different roles, different purposes as well, and interests. So then many things come together and make a click here, so that you can really enrich all the sides of the things that you are managing, even at personal level as well. So how it started, what triggered this work with young people? What are the main problems that you are trying to address and to solve in a collective manner? And then we'll go to understand how you are doing it.
For me, it's based on values, most of all on values. My personal values, but also like personal values around me. So like it's contextual thing, because I think the young people are the future, and to see, to follow how the young people are dealing with the challenges they have at the moment. And every young generation have their own challenges. That's taken. But I think at the moment, and it's been developing in my experience for a while, maybe even a couple of decades, that the society is becoming more and more fragmented, and the young people are suffering. They are struggling to find a place in the society, but also opportunities that they see for themselves in the future, they are diminishing in a way. Of course, there are a lot of young people that are absolutely thriving at the moment. And that's wonderful to see. But there are more and more young people who are having more and more problems at the moment. And those problems are related, of course, they are personal problems, but they are also like contextual problems with the family, with their surroundings, with the environment. And this is something that we're trying to find solutions to. And we've done a lot of work because I think every public administration tries to work with the young people. But we found those challenges too big or too difficult to actually, solve them. And that was trigger for me that I wanted to go deeper and look deeper for those ideas and solutions. What's happening? Why everything we do, it's not really giving the impact. So that led me to this path of understanding this word better and this context better, how we can help the young people. Because with the young people, you can see the results quite fast. Once they get maybe sometimes some support, but sometimes also they gain some new abilities or capabilities, and they start to change how they live, how they act, how they behave. And that is very rewarding. I mean, you can see the results quite fast. But then again, you can see the bad results as well.
Can you give us an example of one of these situations so that people understand a little bit on one specific case? I mean, you don't have to say names or anything, but just give us an archetypical problem that you are facing or trying to solve.
So very typical problem is that young person is struggling in school. That's many times it's the one early indication for us that they are losing motivation, almost dropping out from the school. And we have very good cooperation inside the municipality that we get this information from schools and also sometimes from universities. So we can reach out to those young people. And then the whole situation starts to open up. Again, it can be personal problem, it can be very temporal, short-term problem, but many times there are lots of cumulative issues within the young people's life, and it's not almost always, but very often it's related to the family situation as well. So they don't get the support from the families, and that, I guess, it's something that has been affecting our society, that the young people don't have the support network around them. So they are struggling with the problems by themselves. Yeah. And this is something that we are not helping them enough at the moment. So this is a very typical situation that in a school there are problems, and then we reach out and start to have this discussion with this person, and then all this myriad of challenges and issues come up.
Yeah. I was living for more than 3 years in Helsinki. I could feel it. I think it's also a cultural thing that you have more distance or more closer relations within a society. And for me, coming from the south, even when I'm in the north of Spain, but coming from the south was very shocking, because it's easy for us to take the phone and call a friend and say, "Do you want to go for a coffee?" And for me, it was very shocking. And then back then, when you call a friend and said, "Do you want to go for a coffee?" And they say, "Oh, wait, I will see my agenda." And then maybe you have an appointment 12 days after for a coffee, which was for me a natural thing. So I think it's a cultural thing as well that makes you closer or more distant socially, even within the families and within the closer circle. So I can imagine that you are dealing with all these problems when you are growing up and you don't know how to talk and with whom. Then you don't know how to deal with that. But you were mentioning, and I like this idea of the early warning from the schools and from the universities, and so this give hints to our main topic is something that we are trying to understand and capture, how these ecosystems are built, how all these group of actors come together to have a purpose for solving something. So this is something you hinted at. Can you explain a little bit how this constellation of actors you are working together?
I have to say, again, looking back, it hasn't, that kind of work as working in ecosystems, it hasn't been very systematic, but we've done it because we found it useful. So we started to gather this network of stakeholders because we recognized that maybe social workers are meeting the same young people than we are. Then again, the educational sector, they are meeting basically all young people. Then maybe the leisure or the cultural sector or the sports sector, they are dealing with some young people as well. So we started to draw actors together and start to have this discussion, what's happening and what they are doing actually. And then we started to combine the resources and also the knowledge. So it was kind of like organic work or organic, system that started to build up. It was quite a fragile because it was depending on certain persons. And so it's very dependent on individuals with unfortunately, if some professional left their position, then the network was not crashing, but it had to somewhat build up again. So that was one challenge. And then we recognized that, okay, more and more people around the world are doing the same work. And it has labels, it has this system thinking, or it has this social innovation label. And then it started to make sense. This is something that is good.
It was a bottom-up approach that then
it was very much.
Yeah, and then it was more systematized, and it's becoming more systemic, right? So it's and who had the first ideas? It came from the social workers, or it was from some public servant that realized that this was happening and some more systemic approach was needed, or it was a mandate by the municipality?
Different locations. I think the educational sector were doing similar things. And as I was working in the youth services, and we started to make these connections with education, they started to invite us to have this discussion. Can we help them? Because they are very committed to schoolwork, but they don't know what's happening outside the school, and they don't have the mandate to work outside the school. So they asked, okay, can we do something? Can we, meet the young people? And then the social workers came up because we wanted to understand what is the situation in these families, or the demographic, social, economical situation in those families. So again, it was very bottom up, and I think was happening in different locations, more or less same time. And then we were able to show the impact, and then we get the mandate, and then now it's becoming more and more norm the way you're working.
Yeah, it's becoming more structured, and you are learning by doing, I suppose, and then you can implement more things, and then you become sharper in the approach as well. And how is this funded? Because this is when we are working with social innovation, at least one side of the social innovation, which is not only the one that we are talking about today, is always a matter of who pays the bill, who takes care of the vulnerable ones, of these situations that are more fragile. And how are you dealing with that?
I would say it's not constant struggle, but it is, especially at this moment when we are cutting budgets in public sector. I guess everywhere in Europe at the moment. The municipality has funded or resourced the youth work and the work among the children and young. They see it maybe the biggest priority for the municipality at the moment. We have this big reform in public sector two years ago when the social and health sector was federalized. So before that, we organized the social services and health services by municipality, but now it's in a different organization that sits under the federal regulation and federal organizations. So now the educational sector is the biggest sector in municipalities, and of course the young people are the main stakeholders. So the municipality wants to, put as much as they can to help and support the young people. But still, especially regarding the innovations, we are relying many times in external funding from the federal or EU level, EU organizations, which is good. But they are available, but they are very short term. So I guess the biggest struggle is actually after the innovation projects to scale it up and get it again institutionalized. So make it permanent. So that's the biggest obstacle, because then we don't have this project funding anymore, and we need to find the resources from inside.
Yeah, I think this is the mismatch between addressing a systemic issue with projects like approach, so that then the short term of the project doesn't match with the long term of the big issue that you are handling. I think that's one of the things that we are trying to get into, to see who is solving this mismatch, because there are things like the Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, they are massive, they are long-term. We can do small tranches in different places, but then we need to join the dots and then put things together in a manner that it makes sense towards achieving the goal. So you are not alone. We are all struggling with the same things, but we are trying to figure out formulas and solutions that then we can exchange and think, how do we do it? And partly what we are finding is that if we involve more stakeholders and people are triggered at the personal or professional level, then the problem is not only for one institution or for the public institution, it's a societal approach. And then families are supporting in their way, schools are supporting in their way, companies are supporting. So you find the constellation of this purpose or mission-driven approach embedded in all the actors, and then it becomes systemic. But it takes time. You have to be motivated. You have to be positive. Yeah, to pass the message. That's what we are trying to do in Eoh-for-Good, just to pass this message that leading systemic transformations for the common goods takes the collective intelligence and commitment. So who are the ones that are influencing and doing the decision making in the right direction, and who are the ones that are putting the stick on the wheel? If you can say some words on that.
Yes, thank you. It's a very good question, actually. Again, in my experience, the biggest driver and that holds the most power is the public institutions. And we are working towards this idea or this approach that you mentioned before, that we need to build these bigger ecosystems and involve other sectors as well, also the private, but also the civic society with the NGOs and with citizens groups, just to broaden the shoulders and get more resources and get this more long-term view. But at the moment, the most power lays on public administrations, because we have not only the funding, but also decision-making power. And also now I'm relating to the political actors. They are making the high-level decisions. But it's funny thing that again, in my experience, the actors that are holding back most, and also the public administration. So that's kind of like contradictory situation, that we have the most power, but we have also the power to hold back and put the sticks on the wheels. Yeah. And I think it relates to the complexity of the organizations and complexity of the system, of the institutional system, that we need to have all the sectors, at least most of the sectors, going to the same direction. And it's very difficult because of the complexity. Different departments have different strategies and different visions. So it takes time to get at the same level and build up the same common vision, and also agree on those means how to reach the vision. So again, it's a long-term project, and we are lacking a bit of patience. And again, it relates to the political system, because after 4 years, things change. After the election, things change. So yes, that gives one extra layer of complexity on everything else.
That was quite interesting to see that the same players played the different role of enablers and the barrier side of the coin. Do you think that you could spot one example of something that is really working well?
3 years ago, we had a group of young people causing a lot of problems in the city center. It was quite small. It was like 20-something young people, but they were causing all kind of havoc within the city. And then the media picked it up and made it big headlines. And then, of course, the citizens complain all the time. And then the businesses started to complain that all the customers are leaving. They're afraid to come into our store because all these things are happening. And it was a big, like a driver for all these actors to come together. The businesses, public administration, and also police and social sector, but also the citizens. They wanted to change something. And we get this understanding. It's not of course, the young people are causing the problems, but it's not the young people that are the problem, actually. So there are deeper issues behind it, why they are behaving as they are. And this led to this cooperation that's still going on, that we meet, or we have this working group that is meeting every month or so, or if something's happening, it gathers very quickly and share all the information everybody has, and then try to find like quick solutions at that moment, and then also some long-term ideas. Okay, trying to find those systemic reasons, those root causes, and try to work on those, but also some quick solutions just to, improve the situation. Yes.
Yeah, in the short term. Yeah. So, as I understand, it was a critical situation or a difficult situation at a certain moment that triggered different stakeholders, actors to come together and to start this collaboration. So that's the trigger. And the interesting thing is that you have a sort of informal setting in the long run that has this two-phase solution-driven approach, the short-term and the long-term in place, which for me is a beautiful platform to build upon. But you need to have the basis. And I think once you have a basis, then it's easier to do the jumping into some new steps. So, and I think those are precious networks and situations that help raise awareness and also work together for the common good in this case.
Every time we do something, we try to learn from that as well. That builds up the capabilities and capacity of the organization, how to deal with these situations in other contexts, because they are never ever the same. So we can scale, we can copy the solutions on different contexts. We can understand how to work on those, because these networks or platforms you mentioned, they are all the time, they are changing. So we need to be very adaptable. We need to be very flexible. And of course, with such a bureaucratic organization, this is not something that we are accustomed to. So this is something that we have learned over the time, that we need to be more flexible, more open, and more adaptable to be able to work with other sectors and stakeholders. Because businesses, they lose interest after 1 month. And also the citizens, once the big problem goes away, they have no interest to participate anymore. So we have to be very adaptable how we sustain those networks and platforms, but that's learning.
Yeah, but that's very interesting what you are mentioning. I mean, it's human that we are engaged when we have an interest in something. If it doesn't affect to me, why I'm going to be there? And that's the challenge for the facilitators of the community, especially with these community issues, to keep an eye on anticipation, prevention, and support for the vulnerable ones that might have a problem. Not now, but maybe in some months or in a couple of years. So you were mentioning the principles that are behind the way you are working, and also identifying some other barriers or difficulties like these bureaucracies against agility or flexibility that is needed when you are working in these settings. Okay, I have another question. How we can explain people how to cultivate these entrepreneurial mindsets?
This is key to so many things. For me, even though I work as a civil servant, this entrepreneurial mindset, it's about taking risks, and trying things, new things, but also learning on those actions. So learning by doing, that's one thing, but also it needs this space, a safe space to explore different solutions, different routes, and also the space for having the interactions, because we are human. We need other human to have discussion, having dialogue on those situations or different ideas, because this is, for me, it's the most effective way to learn as well, to hear other people and hear totally different viewpoints, and also tolerate the differences and tolerate the tension that comes up. And this is something that I think we need more and more, especially in today's situation where our opinions are so polarized. We tend to go different routes all the time, and we tend to build those walls between humans and also between nationalities and so on. So I think we need to keep this interaction and dialogue going no matter what, and we need the space to have it. And in that space, we need to diminish the hierarchies as a public sector, even though we have the most resources and at some moments also in related to some situations, that we are not coming to that space telling what other people should do and how they should think, that we are very open to hear other stakeholders, other actors. But still, even though we need this dialogue, we need to find the way forward, because we need to be actionable. We need to, have some steps how to go to the future. So this is related to facilitation and how we facilitate those moments and those spaces, those interactions.
It's not only coming together, discussing things, it's also finding ways to understanding each other and to find joint solutions for a shared vision that at the beginning is not the case. When we come to a table, my experience is that everybody of us come with our own baggage and our own ideas, our own rhythm, the cultural settings, etc. And it takes time until we translate what we are meaning. Even when we are using the same language, we are talking about the same things, but we are understanding different things. And to have this shared vision first takes time, and then it takes time building the trust, and then to be able to share ideas to find joint solutions. So it is a process, and for me it's amazing when it happens. It's every time it happens is magic, and then you feel that you are in another level, because you are in another level with other people. So it's not only your vision; it's a shared vision and a shared solution. And I would like to ask one question about how do you envisage these living labs, these networks, quadruple, quintuple, and helix, when you bring all these people together in the future?
That's a big question. I would like to have those labs or forums or platforms in many places, in physical spaces, in virtual places and platforms. I would like people to have a lot of places for connecting and coming together, that they can even stumble upon those spaces, not even knowing, so they don't have to look for those. Even within the service we are providing, there are those spaces that people can have interaction, even short time. So it's kind of like build it inside the service processes. That's one thing. But also I would like to have this physical expression of those platforms, so people can see from far that, okay, there's something going on. People are gathering and they're having discussion, or they are working together for some reason. It's like a symbolic value that they have, these like physical spaces. But it's more about this mental attitude and mental mindset, how we approach other people, and that we are longing for connection with other people. This is very human. And like you say, it's magical when it really happens, when you get this very true connection with other people, even though it can be very temporal for a few minutes, but you get this understanding with you. And this is where the connection builds, and this is something that gives strength for all of us to find those solutions and keep going. So I would like to have those, again, spaces on every service processes, but also have these open labs in city environment, just to live up the urban environment.
So we need to dream.
Yes.
Send the dreams out loud and see what happens. If not, it's not funny. So we'll have the frustration anyway when things are not so easy going. But at least to have dreams and look at the future with this hint or gist of hope that we can put in everything we do. So what do you see social innovation is being useful for?
It's combining different stakeholders and different ideas, getting this idea of making better society.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think different people, different actors can solve problems together?
They need trust. They need a platform where they can be equal, and then they need somebody to facilitate them towards a shared solution.
Mm-hmm. What can we say to young people to be involved in the change?
I think we need to give them motivation. We need to involve them and give them power, give them a stake on their own future, show them concretely that you can make a difference.
Okay. I love this way to finish. They can make the difference. Thank you, Toni.
Thank you. Allowing this to happen, giving this opportunity to build up the connection, because this is coming from North and knowing how we work in Finland, in other Baltic and Scandinavian cities, but getting this experience from other people from other corners of the world, it's very, very valuable. And I think this is something that we need. We need to share these ideas and share the understanding. I'm very grateful for this to be happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Toni.